when you did your master's, which is your highest qualification, what was the topic of that master's? What did you focus on your research?
Changing patterns of black marriage and divorce in Durban. It's 350 pages long, based on many hours of participant observation and every other possible. You couldn't do coursework masters. You see, you don't realize that coursework masters.
Yeah, you answered. You are done now.
Yeah,
you're done.
Same as research.
No, we are done.
Okay.
I wanted to know.
To explain that.
So your highest qualification research formally was about changing patterns on black marriages.
So I've got a lot of stuff published in peer-reviewed journals.
Okay. So at what point did you start immersing yourself on the security matters?
Okay, I tried to explain that. I was pulled into it because people that I was working with in research, whether it was on marriage or shebeens or whatever, I'd done reports for the Human Sciences Research Council. They'd given me funding, and that was what was distracting me. In fact, the Human Sciences Research Council wanted to publish my book on marriage, and I never had time to do that either. So all these people that I was making contact with through research were coming to me and saying, we're getting attacked. And anthropological research is reciprocal, because you spend a lot of time with people, they give you of their time, they help you, and you give back. You give back to them, and this was my giving back. Okay, I'll see what I can do about all these attacks on you. And that started it. It's not something I ever chose to do research on.
Okay, but my question was, at what point?
Well, whenever the violence started taking off, 1983, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, particularly 83.
Okay. I just want to understand this on your statement, the main statement, the witness statement. I think that's what it's called. I usually refer to as a main statement.
Yeah.
And maybe before I draw your attention to the paragraph I wanted to talk about. What's your understanding of the qualifications of Lieutenant General Kuman?
All I know is it's fairly well established that he had qualified, and I don't know if it was SAP or after the KwaZulu Police was formed. He was definitely in the KwaZulu Police. I think he probably had qualifications from the SAP. And if that was the case, they would take people, well, they didn't always take people with matrics. I can remember somebody was complaining to me, but he would have had the same training as the ordinary SAP, South African police that didn't join one of the homelands. And then his next, and different people, including Philip Mhlongo, who'd canvassed our gather in the portfolio committee when they were getting complaints about him, said, well, he'd actually been deployed as guarding duties, which means he was operational response. And then somebody who was integrated into crime intelligence from the SAP said, well, I can remember him from the latter 90s when we were integrated, and he was doing some administrative work for intelligence then. Which was, he said he wasn't operative. But he said wasn't there long, he then went off to operational response. And I gather that was where he was for most of the time, apart from the deployment briefly to intelligence when Mkhwanazi was National Commissioner. And of course, my information was that although he was deployed to the task team, he was still basically operational response. That was what I was told by a very senior person at the time of the establishment, or since the establishment, I can't remember.
Okay. On your statement, 17.2, paragraph 17.2, you are saying a lot about the PKTT being irregular. Which laws were violated by the formation of the PKTT?
It's not just, look.
Or is irregular in what sense?
It's irregular in terms of any detective team I've ever come across, because a detective team, by its very objectives, is composed of detectives. I mean, it stands to reason that you get someone who's a detective, and I've tried to give you an example of the sorts of structures that were in place after the end of apartheid.
So it's your contention that the 126 people you are concerned about as a number were without dictative capabilities?
Well, not senior, I gather, because the senior guy soon left. Initially there was a senior detective. I'm concerned about the number, because why do you need such a big number of people in one province? I mean, even the investigative task team had about 30 people in, I think.
But
it's necessary even.
Did you spend time as a researcher to make an inquiry about what is the work of the team of such a big size? Or you concluded that because in the past, teams were never constituted to such a number, therefore automatically this one is irregular?
Oh no, it wasn't the number per se. It was the strange structure of it, that you had it. As I said, it was not supposed to be. It was supposed to report nationally, and that wasn't maintained. But the province was the reports through the provincial commissioner, and with a senior detective overseeing the junior ones. That was the way it was set up. But then it soon changed.
So the irregular part is that it was reporting to the province or national. I didn't get you on that.
The reports to the national fell away, although it had been set up to be overseen through reports by the head of detectives now.
How did it fall away? Because you still have a coordinator who is occupying a national position, a substantive position at a national level.
Well, this is what I don't understand, because the man who took over from the first one was called Mkhwanazi. He occupied that position, and it's impossible to check because he died of poisoning, actually. But that's beside the point, but he's dead. And this can be canvassed about. I was told that the first one was very good and insisted on all the reports, so it's quite possible that he didn't bother to follow up. I don't know. I'm speculating. All I know is that I was told definitely that the reporting line ended with the deputy.
Yeah.